Yes, welcome. So the topic we'll be discussing in this lecture is syntax and semantics in FOL. So last class we have started discussing first order logic. So in the last session we have discussed the introductory part of FOL. So in this lecture we'll be discussing the syntax and semantics in first order logic. Okay. So so in case of propositional logic, the models the models are nothing but propositions with predefined truth values. So they are the models in the propositional logic, right? But when we consider the first order logic, the models for the first order logic, they also include objects. They are not just propositions, but they also include objects. So the domain of the model in FOL, the domain of the model in FOL is the set of objects. Is the set of objects. So the set of objects are also called as, it can also be called as domain elements. And this domain should be non-empty in FOL. That is, in first order logic, at least there should be one object should be available. So model is equal to what? The model also includes set of objects. Apart from propositions, it also includes set of objects. And so that is what is domain, right? This is the domain of the model. The domain of the model includes proposition and set of objects. And the domain should be non-empty. That is, at least it should have one object. Okay? That is, every possible model must have at least one object. Here is one example for the model that is represented using FOL. So, so basically what this model represents in the sense, there is a person Richard. Here R represents Richard. There is a person Richard. So Richard is a person. And there is another person, John. John is also a person, but John is also a king. As he is a king, he is having a crown. So John is so so the crown is on the head of John. So this on head is a relation, is a relation. So it is something like this: on head of uh, crown, comma John. So that is the crown is on the head of the John. Okay, and these two, so this is one object. Richard is one object. We can call Richard as object one, and John is another object, object two. They both were related. How they are related? They both were related as brothers. That is, Richard is the brother of John, and John is also the brother of Richard. Either way it is. So here also this brother is a relation, or we can call it as predicate. This on head also we can call it as predicate. So brother is a relation or a predicate, where we can say that brother of R comma J, which means Richard is the brother of John, or also we can say brother of, and also we can say brother of J comma R, which means John is the brother of Richard. Okay. Apart from this, we want to specify that every person will have a left leg. So this does not make sense, but this is just for what do you call? Just we want to add more objects, so we want to specify that every person has a left leg. So as every person will have a left leg, Richard will have a left leg. Now here, how to represent this left leg? For that we are using a function. This is a function. So left leg of R, it represents the Richard's left leg. Similarly, John will also have a left leg. So the left leg of John, it represents John's left leg. Okay. So if you see this typical example, this example contains 5 objects. This example contains 5 objects, 2 binary relations, 3 unary relations, and 1 unary function. That is, left leg is a unary function. So what are the 5 objects? Richard is one object. This Richard. So these are the objects. What are the objects? We'll list it down. Richard is an object. John is an object. Richard's left leg is an object. Okay, so I'll write Richard's left leg or LL and John's left leg. So this is a separate object. His left leg is a separate object. Similarly, John's left leg is a separate object. And then crown. These are the objects. And binary functions. What are the binary functions? So, so there is a binary function brother. Brother is a binary function. Okay. And on head is another binary function. Because brother, it operates on two objects. So you can specify brother of R comma J. So there are two objects were there. So it is a binary relation. Similarly, we can write brother of J comma R. So here also two objects were there. So it is a binary relation. Similarly, when you see crown, uh, sorry, when you see on head, not crown. When you see on head, crown is on the head of John. So this is also a binary relation. So two binary relation, three unary relations. What are the unary relation? This unary relation, person is a unary relation, and person is applicable to Richard. So person of Richard is a unary relation. Okay, and person is also applicable to John. So person of John is also applicable, but so person of Richard and also person of John, we can consider this as I mean person of X, like that we can consider. But John is also a king, so king of John, right? So person is a first one unary relation, king is another unary relation, and this object is a crown. This object, this is the object, right? So this object is a crown. So actually the name also we are considering as crown. So we can write as crown of crown. What does it mean? See, this object's name is crown, and also it has a property called crown. Or if you say that this object we call it as C1, then we can say that crown of C1, which means C1 is a crown. So this king, person, and crown, these are the unary relations. And we have one unary function, that is left leg. So left leg of Richard, it represents this object, Richard's left leg. And left leg of John, it represents this object, that is John's left leg. Right? Okay. So this is what this example represents. Okay. Now, what we can infer from the previous diagram is the objects in the model may be related in various ways. For example, in the previous case, Richard and John, they were related as brothers. So Richard and John are brothers. Formally speaking, a relation is just the set of tuples of objects that are related. So a relation is nothing but a set of tuples of objects that are related. We'll discuss an example for this. And what is a tuple? A tuple is a collection of objects arranged in a fixed order and is written within angle brackets surrounding the objects. Right? A relation is a set of tuples of objects, and tuple is a collection of objects. Right? Relation is a set of tuples. Tuple is a collection of objects arranged in a particular order and placed within the angle bracket. Okay. So then how can we represent the brotherhood relation using tuples that we will see, right? So what we have discussed here, a relation is a set of tuples and a tuple is a set of objects arranged in a fixed order. Now let us see an example where how the brotherhood relation, that is the brother relation, can be represented uh, using tuples, right? So here you can see, so we have discussed previously or as Richard, but actually or represents, in that example, or represents Richard the Lionheart. Okay. Similarly, J represents King John. So wherever or is there, actually it should be interpreted as Richard the Lionheart. So or represents. So or is basically a constant. Or is basically a constant or a symbol which represents Richard the Lionheart. I'll write LH. Similarly, wherever J comes, J is a constant which represents J as King John. Okay. So now what is this? This is a relation, right? This is a relation. This is one relation. Okay, what it says, uh, relation is a set of what we have discussed. A relation is a set of tuples that are set of tuples of objects that are related. Okay, fine. So this entire thing is a relation. This entire thing is a relation. Okay, and this entire thing contains two tuples. This is tuple 1, this is tuple 2. Tuple 1, if you see, it contains two objects. What are they? The first object is Richard the Lionheart. The second object is King John. So we can say this is object 1 and this is object 2. Whereas the tuple 2 also contains two objects, but here King John is the first object and this is the second object, right? So what is the definition of tuple? If you recall, a tuple is a collection of objects in some order, whereas a relation is a collection of tuples. Okay, so now we can say that this is brothers. We can, this entire thing is can be connected with brother. So what does it mean? It means that Richard the Lionheart is the brother of King John, and also King John is the brother of Richard the Lionheart. Okay, so that's what it means. Fine. The crown is on King John's head. So on head relation, as we have already previously discussed, on head relation contains one tuple, one tuple, and this one tuple contains two objects, the crown and King John. So it is something like this. We can say that on head of the crown, comma, King John. Okay, so on head is connected with one tuple and this tuple contains two objects. The brother and on-head relations are binary relations, which we already discussed. The brother and on-head are binary relations. And we have some unary relations. Unary relations are otherwise called as properties. So person is a property, and it is true for both Richard and John. So person is a property or a unary relation, and this unary relation is true for both Richard and for John. And king is a property or a unary relation, which is true only for John. Is true only for John. Okay, and crown is a property which is true only for crown, because that object we are also calling is crown, and also there is a property crown. Okay, fine. And some of the relations are considered as function. So we have discussed that there is a function left leg. So the left leg function, so every object will have a left leg function. So that is what our understanding is. Okay, so in our case the left leg is applicable only for Richard and John. So when you apply left leg of Richard the Lionheart, basically it refers to Richard's left leg. Okay, so here we have to apply left leg. When you apply left leg to Richard the Lionheart, it refers to Richard's left leg. Similarly, when you apply left leg to King John, it refers to John's left leg. Right. So these are the symbols and interpretation in first order logic. So in first order logic, a sentence can be either an atomic sentence or a combination of atomic sentence and complex sentence. Now, what is an atomic sentence? An atomic sentence can just include a simple predicate without anything, or a predicate with parameters, or several terms. So that is called as an atomic sentence, right? Atomic sentence can be just a predicate or a predicate with parameters. For example, here left leg is a predicate. Okay, and here if you see on head is a predicate. These are the parameters for the predicate on head. So it can have just predicate or with some parameters, or it can have just some terms or some constants. Say Richard is a term, it's a constant. John is a term, it's a constant. And complex sentence or sentences which are created from by using by combining multiple sentences using conjunction, disjunction, implication, bidirectional, or by using quantifiers, which we'll be discussing soon. Right? And what is a term? A term can be either a constant variable or a function. Function specified, again function, for a function also we specify these parameters. Okay, fine. So here these functions are not similar to our programming language functions. We should not misunderstand with that. So here there is no function. It is not that there is a subroutine we are calling that. It's not like that. So basically there is nothing like that. It is one way of representation. So when we say that left leg of Richard the Lionheart, that doesn't mean that it is we are calling a function. No. So this is a way of representation. So left leg of Richard the Lionheart, it refers to Richard's left leg. It refers to Richard's left leg. That's all. And we use two quantifiers here for all, and there exist. And the constants can be any object's name, A, X, John. All these things are the constants. So if it is a single way, if the constant contains one letter, then we'll represent using capital letter. If the constant contains multiple letter, then the first letter will be capitalized. So if John is a constant, J is capitalized. Richard is a constant, R will be capitalized. Okay. Whereas for variables are represented using small case letters. And predicates are nothing but the relations. For example, left leg and on head, right? On head, brother. All these are predicates. Okay, so these are some of the predicates. After, loves, raining, all these are predicate. Function, left leg is a function, mother is a function. Operator, precedence. So apart from this, we can also use these operators in the first order logic, not, equal to, and, or, implication, bidirectional, all these things, right? Okay, fine. So here we are discussing a brief about what we have discussed in this table. So what is an atomic sentence? Atomic sentence is also called as atom in short. It is formed from predicate symbol. Basically, it is formed from predicate symbol, optionally followed by parentheses, the list of terms. So it can include just the predicate symbol, or this predicate symbol may include some list of terms within parentheses. So here is an example for atomic sentence: brother of Richard, John. So this is an example for atomic sentence because it includes predicate and the predicate contains some parentheses list of terms. Here is another example: married. This is a relation or a predicate: father of Richard, mother of John. That is, Richard's father has married John's mother. So we know that Richard and John were brothers. Okay. And complex sentence are constructed from simple sentences by using conjunction, disjunction, implication, all those things. So here are some examples for complex sentence. Left leg of Richard is not the brother of John. Richard is the brother of John, but Richard's left leg is not. You cannot call it as brother of John. So here as not comes into the picture, it becomes a complex sentence, right? Richard is the brother of John, and also John is brother of Richard. So this is also a complex sentence because and is there. Richard is king, and John is also king. Richard is king, or John is king, or John is king. This is also a complex sentence because here we are using or. Richard is not a king implies John is a king. Okay, this is also an example for complex sentence because here we are using implication and negation. Right. Fine. Now we'll get into the quantifiers. So FOL, first order logic, it supports two quantifiers. One is called as universal quantifier, and this universal quantifier is represented using this type of symbol, which can be treated considered as inverted A, right? And also it supports another quantifier which is called as existential quantifier. And universal quantifier is generally used to represent for all. So there is a statement here. So this, how we read this, in the sense we read this as something like this: for all X, if X is a king, then it implies that X is a person. For all X, if X is a king, it implies that X is a person. So intuitively, the sentence for all X P, for all X P, it means that P is true for all X. So P is a logical expression, is true for every object X, right? So this is the generic way of understanding this. This is the generic way of understanding for all XP. But more precisely, if you see what is for all XP, more precisely, if you see what is for all XP, what does it mean in the sense for all XP is true in a given model if P is true in all possible extended interpretations. What does it mean? It may be a little confusing, but we'll discuss an example for this. So, this is the generic way of, or very, what you call, very common sense way of understanding is this first statement. For all xp means P is true for every object x. But to really understand it in a proper way, for all xp, in the sense, for all xp is true in a given model if P is true in all possible extended interpretation. So what does that mean? We'll discuss that with an example. For example, so let us take, for this statement we take for all xp. So what does it mean? It means that P should be true in all possible interpretation, extended interpretations. So here extended interpretation represents for all objects P should be true. For all objects P should be true. Okay. So if you see our example, what we are discussing, this example, here there are 5 objects. What are the 5 objects? Richard the Lionheart, King John, Richard's left leg, John's left leg, and crown. So let us try applying these 5 objects on this example, right? So what are our possible x's? If you take that particular uh, example which we have discussed, and if you consider this statement for all xp, what value the x can take? X can be either Richard the Lionheart, or X can be King John, or X can be Richard's left leg, or X can be John's left leg, or X can be crown. Okay, so these are the possible values it can take, right? Now let us now this for all xp, we will try for this example, right? We'll try for this example. What is the example? For all x, king of x implies person of x. So what are the possible values x can take? That's what we have discussed here. X can be either Richard the Lionheart. In the example what we are discussing, there are only 5 objects. So these are the possibilities. X can be either Richard the Lionheart, or King John, or Richard's left leg, or John's left leg, or crown. Now universal quantifier, what it says, for all x it should be true. So let us check that. So Richard the Lionheart, so when you apply on this king of x, now x is, let us take the first one. Let us take x as this Richard the Lionheart. So then what does it mean? It means that Richard the Lionheart is a king, which implies that Richard the Lionheart is a person. Fine. The second statement, now second round, if you consider x as King John, then it means what? King John is a king, because here this is x now. King John is a king, and King John is a person. Fine. So when you apply Richard's left leg for x, then you will get Richard's left leg is a king, and Richard's left leg is a person. It implies that Richard's left leg is a person. Okay. And then when you apply John's left leg for x, then you will get John's left leg is a king, and John's left leg is a king, which implies that John's left leg is a person, right? And when you apply crown for x, then you will get the crown. The crown is a king. The crown is a king, which implies that crown is a person, right? Now for all x means, then all these things should be true. All these things should be true, right? So to understand this, let us understand what is implication. So alpha implies beta. Just recall the truth table. Alpha, beta, alpha implies beta. Okay. So what are the possibilities? 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So basically it means that if alpha is true, then beta is true. So this is 1. If alpha is false, then it is not at all talking about anything. If alpha is false, then beta can be anything. So this is also true, right? This is by default true. If alpha is true, then alpha implies beta is also true, because this statement only claims that if alpha is true, then beta is true. If alpha is false, it does not claim anything. So as per the truth table, these two are 1. If alpha is true and beta is false, that is not possible. That is 0. Okay. So this is our truth table, right? Now here as per the original representation, if you see, only who is king as per our uh, as per our representation, only John is king, others are not king. Richard is not a king. Richard's left leg is not a king. John's left leg is not a king, and Crown is not a king. Okay, hence if you apply on this, Richard the Lionheart is a king, this statement is false, right? That is, this statement is false, which means it is 0. So if this is false, then overall alpha implies beta will be false. What? So here you can see this truth table. If the implication part is false, this is implication, this is conclusion, right? If this is alpha is the uh, alpha, alpha is the, or you can say alpha is the president, and this is the conclusion part. Okay, so if this part is false, then the result will be false. Sorry, result will be true. So this is false here. Richard is not the king. So result is what? True. This is true. Fine. Similarly, if you see this, King John is a king. This is true because the king attribute is applicable only to John as per our diagram. So which means that King John is a king implies King John is a person. So it means it is also true. So it means this case 1 1 1. So this is true. Fine. So this is also true. Richard's left leg is a king. This is false. So if this part is false, if the left side part is false, then the conclusion is true as per the logic of implication, right? John's left leg is a king. Again, this is false. If this is false, overall the statement is true. The crown is a king. The crown is not a king, hence this is also true, right? So what we can now if you see, this is the actual truth statement. But as per the implication rule, we are getting everything as true, right? But this is the way of representation. This representation is correct. There is nothing wrong in this. But uh, but the inference algorithm or the program, they will not take the other 4 cases. They will not take this 1 2 3 4 cases. Why they won't take? Because the attribute king is not applicable to them. See, this rule is applicable only for the king. If someone is not a king, we won't apply this rule at all. So this rule, the rule what it says, for all x, if x is a king, then x is a person. So we apply this rule only for kings, only for the person to him the king relation is attributed. So the king relation is applicable only to John. It is not applicable to Richard. It is not applicable to Richard's left leg. It is not applicable to John's left leg. It is not applicable to Crown. So these rules will not be applied for these 4 cases. It will be applied only for this case, right? But overall, if you see, it is true for everyone because as per the rule of implication, right? Okay. So the other 4 assertions are true in the model. Basically, all assertions are true, but they make no claim about the personhood qualifications of Lex, Crowns, or Richard, right? Because they don't make any claim about the personhood qualifications. Why they don't make any claim? Because they are not king. Richard's left leg is not a king, Crown is not a king, and Richard is also not a king. Only if someone is a king, they can claim the personhood qualification. That's what this rule says. Only the king can claim this personhood qualification, right? Okay. So they don't claim but they do not claim about the personhood qualifications of Leg, Crown, or Richard. Why? Because these objects, this is because none of these objects is a king, right? Fine. Okay. So universal quantifier is very much connected with implication. It is not connected with conjunction. But sometimes, mostly people make a mistake that they use conjunction for universal quantification, which is not correct. So here is an example for that. So you should not use conjunction with universal quantifier. So here we can see we have used with With implication only we have proved this. So universal quantification says that it should be true for all the cases, and that is what we have proved here. It is true for all the cases, fine, but we won't use certain cases because certain properties are not applicable to certain cases, right? Okay, so here is an example like why and should not be used with universal quantification. For example, if you represent that for all x, king of x and person of x, our intention is not to represent this. Our intention is to represent that if x is a king, then x is a person. So the correct way of representation is for all x, king of x. If x is a king, it implies that x is a person. So, the right way to represent this is by using implication. You cannot use and. If you use and, then what does it mean? It means that you are saying like this: Richard the Lionheart is a king, and Richard the Lionheart is a person. This becomes a declaration, but actually he is not a king. And also you are saying John is a king and John is a person. And you're also saying Richard's left leg is a king and left leg is a person, and so on. So this is not what we want to capture. What we want to capture, if someone is a king, then he is a person. That is what we want to capture. So and is not the correct way, correct tool to use with universal quantification, right? Okay. Next, we'll be discussing about existential quantification. So here is an example, and this is the symbol which we use for existential quantification. There exists x such that x is a crown and x is on the head of John. There exists x such that x is a crown and x is on the head of John. So again, let us see intuitively what it means and what it actually means. So intuitively, it means that there exists x p. It means that there exists some x, at least one x for which p is true. So it says that there exists x says that p is true for at least one object x. So that's what it says. There exists x p means p is true for at least one object x. But more precisely what it says, there exists x p is true in a given model if p is true in at least one extended interpretation that assigns to x. At least in one interpretation of x, p is true. That's what it says. So now let us take our original example, the Richard and John example. There are 5 objects. Okay, there are 5 objects. Now let us apply one each object for crown of x and on and for on head of x comma John. So first let us assume x is equal to Richard the Lionheart. So if you assume x as Richard the Lionheart, then this statement will become what? Richard the Lionheart is a crown and Richard the Lionheart is on John's head. Okay, Richard the Lionheart is a crown and Richard the Lionheart is on John's head. This is the first statement. Okay. Second, if you apply x is equal to King John, then this statement will become King John is a crown and King John is on John's head. Right. Third, if you apply x is equal to Richard's left leg, then this statement will become Richard's left leg is a crown and Richard's left leg is on John's head. So only x we are changing, right? So don't get confused with this. So x only we are changing. Okay. So next, when you apply x as, when you consider x as John's left leg, then this will become John's left leg is a crown and John's left leg is on John's head, right? John's left leg is on the head of John. And then we can consider x as a crown. So in that case, the crown is a crown and the crown is on the head of John. So if you consider all these cases, if you apply the truth value, Richard the Lionheart is a crown. Is this true or false? It's not true. False. Richard the Lionheart is on John's head. This is also false. So false and false is false, basically. King John is a crown. Is the crown attribute is applicable to King John? Or the crown property or the relation, is it applicable to King John? No. So this is false. King John is on John's head. King John is not on John's head, so it is also false. Richard's left leg is a crown. Richard's crown is not applicable to Richard's left leg, so false. Richard's left leg is on John's head. No, false. John's left leg is a crown. No, false. John's left leg is on John's head. No, false. So basically all these four statements were false. Now if you see, the crown is a crown. Yes, the object crown has a property crown. It is true. The crown is on John's head. The crown, the object crown is on John's head. True. So true and true is true. So existential quantifier, basically what it says, the statement is true in some model, in some interpretation. So out of all the 5 interpretations, it is true only in this interpretation. So that's fine. So we have satisfied our case for existential quantification. Okay, right? But here, if you see, it is true for here when you use universal quantification, we use implication, and we have shown that it is true for all the cases. Okay, hence we cannot use and with. This is also one of the reasons why we cannot use and with universal quantification. Here, if you use and for all these things, you won't get true. Right? Richard the Lionheart is a king. This is false. First of all, this is not true, because only as per our representation, only John is the king. Richard is not the king. And Richard the Lionheart is a person. Yeah, he is a person. Attribute is attached to him. Yes, but still, false and true is false. King John is a king. True. King John is a person. True. True and true is true. Okay. Richard's left leg is a king. False. Richard left leg is a person. False. So this is false. So like that, if you consider the other two interpretation also, that is John's left leg is a king. That is false. And John's left leg is a person. That is also false. It's false. Okay. Next is crown is a king. Crown is not a king, and crown is a person. No. So if you use and for universal quantification, what happens? There is only one true, remaining all becomes false. But with universal quantification, you have to make everything as true. Hence, we are saying that and is not the correct, or conjunction is not the correct way to use for universal quantification. You have to use implication, right? But conjunction can be used with existential quantification. So here we have shown that with existential quantification, we have to make sure that the statement is true at least in one interpretation, right? Okay. So as we have discussed earlier, the implication appears to be a natural connective with for all, that is universal quantification. So implication is the natural connective to be used with universal quantification. Similarly, conjunction or and is the natural connective with existential quantification. Okay, conjunction is the natural connective with existential quantification. For existential quantification, you cannot use implication. For existential quantification, you cannot use implication. That will create some issue. So we'll discuss one example for that, like why we should not use implication with existential quantification. So here is an say previous example what we have discussed here. There exists x such that x is a crown and x is on the head of John. So this is the correct way to use, right? With existential quantification, we have to use and, not implication. If you use implication, then what will happen? That's what we are going to see. There exists x such that x is a crown, which implies x is on the head of John, right? This is actually not a correct representation. But while reading, it seems it is quite okay. When you read it, it seems it is fine. There exists some x such that x is a crown, which implies that x is on the head of John. But actually, this is not correct, because when you apply implication for all cases, you should get what? True. Okay, you should get true for all cases, right? But this is existential quantifier. But existential, see, when you use implication, you will get true for all cases. But with existential quantifier, what is the meaning of existential quantifier? There exists at least one case for which it is true. Okay. Now, for example, if you consider x as the Richard, then it means what? Richard the Lionheart is a crown. Richard the Lionheart is a crown, which implies that Richard the Lionheart is on John's head. Okay. Now, Richard the Lionheart is not actually a crown. So this statement is false. So if the left part is false, implication will lead to true. Okay. Implication will lead to true. Then King John is a crown. Again, King John is not a crown. Again, King John is not a crown. So this is also false. So this also overall it will lead to true, right? Then Richard's left leg is a crown. Again, Richard's left leg is not a crown. So this is also false. So overall it will lead to true. Okay. So Richard, King John, Richard's left leg we have done. Similarly, if you see King John's left leg, King John's left leg is a crown. This is also false. Hence, overall, it will become true. Okay. And the last statement is crown of X. Crown of X is true. Crown of X is true, which implies on head of X comma John, which implies on head of X comma John, which means so which means what? Crown is a crown. Crown is a crown, which implies that crown is on the head of John, on head of crown comma John. Fine. Yeah, crown is a crown, and it implies that crown is on the head of John. This is true. Okay. But in this case, it becomes everything becomes true. But that is not to be happen with an existential quantifier. At least existential quantifier means what? There exists some truth. Not everything is true. So hence, existential quantifier, this implication is not the right connectivity to used with connective to use with existential quantifier. The right connective is AND. Fine. Now let us discuss some examples for nested quantifiers. Say for all X, for all Y, X is a brother of Y, which means it implies that X is a sibling of Y. Okay. So basically this statement means that if someone is a brother of somebody else, then it means that they are also siblings, right? So basically this statement means that all brothers are siblings, right? All brothers are siblings. That's what it says. If X is the brother of Y, then it means that X is also sibling of Y. For all X comma Y, sibling of X comma Y implies bidirectional sibling of Y comma X, right? So basically this statement means that if somebody is if somebody is a sibling of other, then the other person is also the sibling of this person. Okay. Everybody loves somebody. This statement can be represented like this. For all X, there exists Y such that loves of X comma Y. So X is connected with universal quantifier and Y is connected with existential quantifier, which means that X represents all. That means everyone. So everyone loves, Y represents someone. Everyone loves someone. That's what it says. Okay. There exists Y, there exists some Y for all X, loves of X comma Y. Now here X is universal quantification, Y is existential quantification. Okay. So what does it mean? So here X is the universal quantification and Y is the existential quantification. But Y comes at the Y comes at the outer level and the X comes as the inner level. So this also you should understand because it's nested, right? So here X is the outer level and Y is the inner level. Okay. So first we wrote everybody. So everybody loves somebody, right? But here there is someone who is loved by everyone. Okay. There is someone who is loved by everyone. So basically that's what it says. Okay. So here X loves Y. Basically this statement means that there is someone who is loved by everyone. And here is another statement for all X, crown of X, or there exists X such that Richard is the brother of X. For all X, X is a crown, or there exists X such that Richard is the brother of X. Here we are using again nested quantifier, but two variables we are using same. So this may lead to some confusion. So instead of using this, there exists X such that Richard is the brother of X. Instead of this, we can write like this. There exists Z such that Richard is the brother of Z. So it is better to avoid using same variables at multiple locations. We can use different variables. Okay. Next, so this universal quantifier and existential quantifiers, they all connected by some way. So if you want to replace universal quantifier with existential quantifier, or existential quantifier with universal quantifier, due to some reason, we can do that. Okay, so how to do that, that's what we'll be discussing here. Say for example, for all x not likes parsnips. For all x not likes parsnips, which means that nobody likes parsnips. This statement, what it says, basically it says that nobody likes parsnips. That's what it says, parsnips. Okay, now this can be also written by using existential quantifier. How can we write? Not there exists a x like such that x likes parsnips. So again, it means not there exists x such that x likes parsnips. Again, it means that there is nobody likes parsnips. Okay. The second statement is for all x likes ice cream. This statement means that everybody likes ice cream. So this states that everyone likes ice cream. Again, this can be written using existential quantifier. Not there exists x such that x not likes ice cream. So there exists no x such that x not likes ice cream. Okay. So for all is really a conjunction over the universe. For all is a conjunction over the universe because it includes everything. So it expects that all it expects that for the given statement, the x should be true for everyone. So basically, it's the conjunction of the universe. Whereas there exists is a disjunction. At least there should be one true. That's it. For all is a conjunction of the universe. There exists is a disjunction of the universe. So they follow basically they basically follow the De Morgan's rule. So if there is something of this form, for all x not p, it is for all x p is not true. This can be written. This is equivalent to this statement using existential quantifier. Not there exists an x for which p is true. For all x p is not true is equivalent to not there exists an x for which p is true. Similarly, not for all x p is true. Not for all x p is true. That means for some x p is true and for some x p is not true. So this is equivalent to saying that there exists some x for which p is not true. Okay. For all x p is true, this can be written like this. Not there exists an x for which p is not true. Okay. There exists an x for which p is true. So again, this is equivalent to not for all x p is not true. For some x, so basically this means that for some x p is true. That's what this says. Okay. Similarly, not p or q is equivalent to not p and not q. This is already we know. Not p and q is equivalent to not p or not q. P and q is equivalent to not of not p or not q. P or q is equivalent to not of not p and not q. Fine. Next, we'll be discussing about equality. So here father is a function, and father of John, it represents Henry. So father of John is equivalent to Henry. That's it. There exists x comma y such that x is brother of Richard and y is also brother of Richard, and x not equal to y. So basically this means that not x equal to y, this means that x not equal to y. Actually, this is the correct way of saying that there is a what do you call, there is there exists x comma y such that x is a, so here we are mentioning that there is someone, there is some x comma, there is some person x who is the brother of Richard, and there is another person y who is also the brother of Richard. Okay, if you want to represent that, this is the correct way to represent. So so basically now there are three brothers, Richard, x and y, they all are brothers. Okay, so first we know only Richard. So you want to specify that x is a brother of Richard and y is also a brother of Richard. Then actually you have to write like this. There exists x comma y such that x is a brother of Richard and y is a brother of Richard and x not equal to y. This x not equal to y is important. Otherwise, the knowledge system may assume x and y both are same. Okay, right? So just we cannot write like this. We cannot just write like this. There exists x comma y such that x is the brother of x comma Richard and brother of y comma Richard. This alone is not sufficient. Right? This does not have the intended meaning. So here, if you write like this, our knowledge base may assume both x and y as the same person. Right? Hence, this adding of this thing is important. Okay. So next we'll be discussing something called an alternative semantics, which is similar to the previous one, the equality what we have discussed. Okay. Suppose assume that we believe that Richard has two brothers, John and Geoffrey. So far in the example we have discussed that Richard and John are brothers. But now we are introducing one more brother for Richard. So Richard has two brothers. They are John and Geoffrey. Then can we just represent like this? This is what previously we have discussed. Can we just represent like this? Brother of John, comma Richard, and brother of Geoffrey, comma Richard. Which means John is the brother of Richard, and Geoffrey is also brother of Richard. But this is okay or not? Actually, this is not okay. You cannot represent like this. If you represent like this, the knowledge base will not interpret it properly. Right? This is the correct way of representation. The correct way of representation is brother of John, comma Richard, which means John is the brother of Richard, and brother of Geoffrey, comma Richard, which means Geoffrey is also brother of Richard, and this is not equal to, and John not equal to Geoffrey, which means that they both are not same, which means that John and Geoffrey are different persons. John not equal to Geoffrey means John and Geoffrey were different persons. Okay. And another important thing we are adding, and for all x, x is the brother of Richard implies, for all x is the brother of Richard implies x equal to John or x equal to Geoffrey. Okay. So whenever if someone mentioned that x is the brother of Richard, when someone mentions that x is a brother of Richard, then x can be either John or Geoffrey. So this is the complete way of representation. Okay. Right. So this is not the correct way of representation. Why this is not the correct way of representation? Because uh, because this assertion is true in a model where Richard has only one brother. We need to add John not equal to Geoffrey, because as we have discussed previously, if you represent like this, then the model may assume John and Geoffrey as the same person. That is one reason. The second reason is the sentence doesn't rule out models in which Richard has many more brothers besides John and Geoffrey. Okay. So another reason why this is wrong is this is not correct is it is very open statement. So it is saying that John and Geoffrey are brothers of Richard. So it may also mean that there can be other brothers for Richards also. Right? There is no we are not specifying tightly that only John and Richard were the brothers of Richard. Only John and Geoffrey were the brothers of Richard. We are not very particularly saying that. So when you leave it just like that, it means that there may be somebody else also brother of Richard. Okay. But here we are locking all those things. Here first we are saying that John is the brother of Richard. Then we are saying Geoffrey is the brother of Richard. Then we are saying that John is not equal to Geoffrey, which means both of them are different. Then we are saying that for all x, if x is the brother of Richard, then it means that x will be either John or Geoffrey, nobody else. So it means that there are only three brothers, John, Geoffrey, and Richard. Right? Okay, so that's it about syntax and semantics of first order logic. So we'll stop here. Thank you.